All right. Now let us see one more sample JD for HR recruiter job. Okay. And this is also can be applied by freshers. 0 to 5 years of experience is required. Okay. So what is the job description? We are hiring fresher graduates for the role of HR recruiter. If you are interested in hiring, sourcing, recruiting for the organization and willing to start your career as a HR recruiter, then apply on the below job link. Okay. Now, what are the roles and responsibilities as a HR recruiter? What have they mentioned? Understanding the job description provided by the client. Next is job posting in various portals. So in JD analysis, you have learned how to understand the job description, what kind of employee you require, what should be his qualification, experience, the roles and the responsibilities he has to perform, and what are the key skills required for doing the job. This part you have learned. Next, job posting in various portals. Even this you have learned in the topic how to post jobs in different job portals. See, most of if you haven't learned one particular job portal, but most of the job portal, as I said in the previous training videos as well, there are similarities in the functionality. Only presentation wise, word wise, description wise, it will be different. Okay, so you can easily understand how to do it on even different job portals, which is something new for you. Then shortlisting of CVs. You have learned in TJ training which CV you have to shortlist. Okay, which candidate profile is suitable for the minimum requirements. You know the eligible requirements of the candidates to shortlist the CV. The minimum requirements, to shortlist any profile should be suitable as per the job title, or if not job title, the must is qualification, experience, salary package, right? These are the minimum things. Then comes the key skills and the job title. So these are the minimum things that are required to know, to understand, to analyze before you shortlist the CV. Communicating with candidates, negotiating on salary or notice period. Okay. Now, communicating with the candidate, this part comes under counseling. How to counsel the candidate, how to help him make a decision. Sometimes it happens a candidate can join even for lesser salary. For an example, we had a requirement for mechanical design engineer who need to know AutoCAD, and the salary offered was like around 25 to 30,000. I have shortlisted people who was earning 40,000 and 45,000 for lesser salary like 35. The reason is the candidate was from a different background, though he was like mechanical engineer, but still he was like a site engineer performing his job responsibility was taking care of the installations of mechanical instruments on the site, and he was looking for a job in designing side, that is was on AutoCAD. He knew AutoCAD but no experience, so he his interest and his goal was to get a job in the designing side, and that is how I could negotiate him for to join for a lesser salary, around like maybe he was offered 32,000, right? So this is how you negotiate the salary. You should understand what are the influence factors of the JD. You should understand about the organization. You know, as you have learned in the training, there are influence factors why people join, or how you can pursue them, or how you can give them the points to join this particular job. Notice period, again, you need to know the strengths of the organization, the availability of the job, how long the job will be available, how long the vacancy will be available, and some tips you can take it from your seniors when you're doing the job, and on how to communicate with the candidate on negotiation and notice period, what are their experiences, what things work out quickly and easily. You can take inputs from your senior as well, right? Then interview lineup. This is also you have to ensure the candidate attends the interview, and how to do that depends on the vacancy and when the interview is scheduled. The interview time should be also favorable. Now most of the companies, like smaller companies, they conduct between like 10 to 11, or they will conduct in the afternoon around 3 to 4 p.m., because that is when an employee is if suppose he is employed, then he can attend in the evening time as well. So depending on the time, the date, and what type of the scenario is present in that particular month, or whether occasions also matters, like holidays, or what do you call, month of March, April. After April, people think of switching the jobs. So these are many factors depending on which you can line up the candidate for the interview and ensure he attends the interview, right? Next is feedback from the interviewer and the candidate. So whatever info candidate, your senior gives you the feedback, you have to pass it on to the candidate. This you have learned on how to softly say no to the candidate that he is not selected. And if the candidate is in a listening mode, you can give him the reason. Otherwise, usually reason is not provided why the candidate is not selected. And suppose he is selected, then you can ask the next questions like, this is the joining date. So, check with him whether he can join on that date and whether he will be available and whether he is interested. So this is how we can take care of the feedback or the interview part. Communicate with the past applicant regarding new job opportunities. Suppose you have called somebody 3 months ago, he didn't join or you didn't hire him because of XYZ reasons. Now you can call them back and tell him there is one more opportunity at present in the organization, and then give him the details and do the interview once again. Okay. Maintain databases. So you have seen different job portals have different database options, that is called as ATS, application tracking system, or you have seen Excel. So it depends on the organization you join where they maintain the database. All right. So now when it comes to adding in the resume, let's see one example. Now, as per the JD, if you want to add some points in the resume, then you can write it as, see, you can actually write most of the points that is in the JD. Now let us also see what could be the highlighting part or highlighting point in this JD. So this could be the highlighting point. So this is, I think this is mentioned very particularly in the JD. Okay, this is what they require. Now this point also you can mention in your resume. Okay. And also before you apply for the job, you can just Google it and search for some negotiation skills, salary negotiation skills, or the which is mentioned in the JD. Actually, you can search it on Google as well. Right? How to negotiate on salary or how to negotiate on joining period. See, you will get some tips. You can utilize these tips as well. Let us copy this and frame it in a better way and put it in the resume. Now, how we are going to make it in a proper way? See, you have learned recruiting, interviewing, and screening of the candidates as per the JD is already mentioned. So this point you can omit. You can write the next point as job postings. So again, for a fresher, you can just write learned extensively to do job postings in various portals. Okay, this is one thing you can write. in your resume. Shortlisting, if you get any points. So this is not important that whatever I'm telling, only that you have to write. Anything that comes to your mind which is viable, which is appropriate, you can put it in your resume. But you should be prepared with that. You should be able to communicate. You should be able to answer what you have mentioned in the resume. It makes very, it becomes very effective in your interview. So here, communication, communicating with candidate. Here, if you want, you can just write this point. Counseling candidates. Good at counseling candidates for salary negotiations and notice period. That's how you can make it. Now, why you are good? You know, you have already learned in the training. Let us see if you have any other points. Apart from this, I don't think there are any much highlight points, any particular important points. The rest of the things are very common, which you have already learned. Okay. So now, what are the interview questions expected in this interview when the HR or the manager or the first time contact person is questioning you? What you can expect is understanding the job description. He might just simply ask you like, what is job description? What is present in the JD? So you can mention in JD, you have the job title, the designation, the kind of industry the company is, what type of services they do, what type of business it is, and then you have the qualification experience mentioned in it. And at times, salary is also mentioned, job roles and the key skills, any particular certification, any other important things, suppose sales, they require a bike license, and suppose digital marketing person, he need to have learned the digital marketing course. Suppose accountant, he must have learned tally, right? So this is present in the JD. You can say this. Now, how would you do job postings in various portals? You can say there are posting options in different job sites where you have to furnish the details as per the JD, again the same thing, job title, qualification, salary you have to put in, you have to just paste the job skills, the job roles, and then you have to mention the keywords. Okay, what are those keywords? You have already seen in the previous videos how the key skills were mentioned. So this is how you will be doing the job postings. Shortlisting CVs, this I have already answered you. Then communicating with candidates, yes, it is answered to you. Now, if you ask you how would you communicate a candidate on salary, as I gave you the example earlier of a mechanical design engineer, right? You can use this examples. The main point, the main crux was understanding the candidate's profile and his interest. Okay. Usually, site engineer jobs are done on the site. It is done in the field, in the you understand, right? In the construction area, then you have to travel to and fro, and then you have to work in the under the sun. You might have to work under. You have to work in different weather conditions, right? When it comes to designing, it 80% happens in the office, on the system. So AutoCAD designing was system related job, and the what he was doing was like site field related job. That is how I could connect him and pursue him for lesser salary, and he joined. So this is how you have to understand the job role and what job skills he has done, what experience he has, job experience he has in that particular field, and his interest and connect it. So this example you can use, and you can tell the interviewer, depending on the job role and depending on the applicant, negotiation points can be extracted and discussed with the candidate. Okay. Notice period also, you can pursue him to join early, because if you have like one or two positions and his interest, depending on the need of the candidate, you can pursue the candidate for smaller, lesser notice period time. Interview lineup you have learned. Maintain candidate database. How would you do it? You can say, I know in the Excel sheet we can maintain the candidate database. You can say every job portal nowadays has the option for ATS, where you can bucket the candidates as rejected, shortlisted, you know, uh, already talked to the candidate. This is how you can do the ATS part. You can explain in the interview. All right. Now, this particular point, maintain candidate databases. So you can mention that you have learned about the job portals. Job portals have the feature of ATS, that is application tracking tool, where you can bucket the the status of the candidate, whether his profile is shortlisted, whether it is rejected, whether you are contacting him, whether he is selected, right? Whether it is in discussion. These are the options available in the ATS, and many other options are there. Or the same thing, you can mention it in Excel sheet. You can prepare Excel sheet and you can write the status of the candidate and the profile. So these are the ways that questions will be asked, and you have to use your training, what you have learned. You have to understand the purpose behind it, and you have to explain to the interviewer. Okay.